Before trying to overcome consumerism, it is essential to understand what it really means in our lives. Over the past few years, as I've shared the minimalist lifestyle with others, I've realized that many still associate minimalism with a scarcity mindset, believing it's about living with the bare minimum, owning almost nothing. In fact, the very word minimalism can induce this interpretation. However, minimalism is not the opposite of consumerism. In fact, it is a solution to an unbalanced life. Consumption, in its essence, will always exist. However, what we call consumerism, especially rampant and irrational consumerism, refers to the purchase of unnecessary things, motivated by the wrong reasons, and, often, using money that we do not have. This practice ends up generating a negative impact in the future, when resources that were misused begin to be missed. We live in an unhealthy society, where stress and discouragement are prevalent. This leads many people to a state of dysthymia, a mild form of depression that causes a constant feeling of sadness, discouragement and low self-esteem. This situation is made worse by the fact that, on social media, it seems like everyone around us is progressing, consuming good things and living perfect lives. This creates the impression that we are stagnant, without evolution, and, in an attempt to compensate, we end up buying unnecessary things in the hope of solving our problems. But in fact, the problem is not the lack of something material, but our limited perspective. This distorted view prevents us from seeing reality. Everyone faces difficulties, and often those who appear to have a perfect life are also dealing with their own challenges. Truly happy people, who have a balanced and peaceful life, generally do not need to show off or define themselves by consumption. They live more discreetly, focused on what really matters, their own lives, their relationships and the experiences they cultivate. This is the heart of the minimalist lifestyle, removing the focus from material things and placing our attention on what really brings us satisfaction and well-being. By prioritizing people and experiences over objects and appearances, we find a fuller, more meaningful life, far from the pitfalls of consumerism. Owning less stuff, especially high-quality stuff, is certainly a positive thing. However, the true focus should always be on wanting less, seeking only what is truly necessary. Overcoming consumerism, which has been installed in our minds since childhood, is essential to living a quality life, centered on what really matters to each of us. The first step to overcoming this consumerist mentality is to internalize the idea that it is possible to live a full life by making the most of the things you already have, without constantly needing new items. This need to acquire new things is often a reflection of internal problems that need to be resolved before simply continuing to buy more. Until you understand and accept this reality, it will be impossible to change your relationship with consumption. It's also crucial to recognize the benefits of owning less. When you start to reduce your consumption and the amount of things, you realize the real advantages, such as having more free time, as you don't have to worry so much about purchasing, organizing, and cleaning many items. You gain more energy for the same reasons, experience less stress and have more money left over to invest in what really matters. As I lived with these benefits, my desire to buy unnecessary things decreased drastically, as I understood the consequences that excessive consumption had on my life. I don't want to go back to this pattern, as I saw how much it hindered my well-being. Everything you bring into your life is one more thing that needs to be managed. Incredibly, having less makes you feel like you have more, because you know exactly what you have, where it is, and you use everything you have efficiently. This organization gives the feeling that everything works like clockwork. This leads to learning that each thing in your life must have a specific function. Objects are not just things, but tools that fulfill a purpose. Whenever you think about purchasing something new, reflect on what role this item will fulfill in your life. This way, it will be easier to identify what is really useful and what is just another passing distraction. Items purchased on impulse, which end up being useless, are a reflection of momentary consumerism. In addition to understanding that objects should serve as tools in our lives, it is even more crucial to understand the role of money as a powerful tool. Whenever you spend on something unnecessary, you are wasting your most valuable resource, money, due to opportunity cost. Every amount spent unnecessarily is less money available to resolve truly important issues in your life. Money has the ability to solve many problems, and when you truly understand what it is for, your perspective changes completely. The main function of money is to eliminate your worries. Think about your daily worries: rent, food, electricity bills, your children's education, among others. Imagine reaching a point where those worries no longer exist. They are all resolved with money, and the more you spend impulsively, the longer you postpone resolving these important issues. The fewer worries you have, the happier and more peaceful you will be. Therefore, every time you waste money on superfluous items, you are failing to solve real concerns, those that really impact your life. To change your mentality regarding consumption, it is essential to understand the culture in which we live. Society often measures success by the money you have, the material possessions you own, the clothes you wear, and the items you buy. This social judgment exists and is efficient only due to your level of insecurity. People often try to compensate for their insecurities through appearance and the things they want to show the world. This is why reflection is so important. Understanding the origin of your consumption can reveal that you are living a life for others, because you do not recognize your own value. However, when you put your self-esteem first and start working on it, the first thing you stop doing is consuming irresponsibly. With strengthened self-esteem, the need to seek external validation through consumption decreases, and you begin to focus on what really matters, living a life with purpose and balance, where your financial decisions are made consciously and strategically, aiming for the well-being in the long term. When you truly understand your own worth, you stop worrying about what others think of you. It's not what you wear, buy, or own that defines your worth or who you really are. Furthermore, it is essential to practice a change in judgment. Instead of just focusing on what people have, start focusing on their happiness. With this, you will notice that the type of people you interact with and spend your time with also begins to change. I've gone through phases in my life where I lived with people who only thought about money, who only talked about problems and judged everything and everyone based on appearances and material achievements. Today, I see how much time I wasted with superficial people, who focused on what is shallow and transitory. This is especially true when it comes to money, as true wealth comes from mindset, not possessions. As the saying goes, poverty screams and riches whispers. Trying to show others how successful you are by buying flashy, tasteless things is actually a sign of a poor mindset. Poverty, in itself, is a temporary circumstance, a situation that can be overcome. If you are broke right now, understand that this is a temporary state and does not define who you are. Another crucial aspect to completely changing your mindset regarding consumption is the practice of gratitude. Look around you and reflect on your current life. You'll probably realize that you already have many of the things you once wanted. Depending on your age, you may have already achieved things that many people dream of having, but that you, immersed in the rush of life, didn't even stop to be grateful for and enjoy. We are often worried about the next goal, but the truth is that there will always be new goals. If you don't stop to be grateful for what you already have, you will never be truly happy with any achievement. The more grateful you become, the less you feel like purchasing new things, and consumption becomes directed only towards real needs. One thing that surprised me about simplifying my life was that the more satisfied I was with what I already owned, the less tempted I was to buy new things or constantly upgrade. Today, I no longer feel the urge to buy randomly, take advantage of promotions or make frequent upgrades. Gratitude not only reduces the desire to consume, it also increases appreciation for the things you already have, allowing for a simpler, more fulfilling life. I only buy things that I really need or that need to be replaced out of necessity. Today, my attention is focused on having new experiences and achieving my great personal and professional goals. The most important thing of all is to create the habit of focusing on your values and goals every day, because that desire to buy unnecessary things doesn't disappear overnight. Every now and then, it comes back to tempt you, and that's why it's essential to constantly remind yourself of the benefits of the life you're living and all the improvements that have occurred since disconnecting from consumerism. This will help you resist every consumption impulse that arises over time. As I mentioned at the beginning, having less stuff is great, but wanting less is even better. When you stop wanting superfluous things, you can live a much more peaceful and uncomplicated life. Before we close, share in the comments what you spend the most money on without realizing it and what ends up getting in the way of your goals. We will continue this conversation soon. It cost.